So if the tabs are so much that I cannot physically like read what's on the top of my computer,
Yes.
that's when it's too
Oh,
many to me, like visually.
okay.
That's when it's too many to me. So that's when I start closing things.
So it's not your computer telling you.
No, it's my brain telling me for sure. For
Gotcha.
sure. Leave it in, Sophia, because this is absolutely what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hi.
Mhm.
Now we'll probably introduce ourselves, which is appropriate. I'm Melanie Peebles. I work here at Corazon Holistic Health. And I am joined by Alexis.
Hi, I'm Alexis Tittman. I'm a counselor here at Corazon, and we are here today to talk a little bit about balance.
Love that.
We already got started, I
We
think.
did. Yeah, because I was talking about, she said, you must have a really good CPU on that screen because there's so many tabs open. And I was like, actually, this is the max that can be there
Yeah.
because it makes my visual field overwhelmed if I have any more than that because I can't read them.
Yeah, so it's not your computer that tells you, "Hey, this is enough." You
Mm-mm.
go, "I'm a little overwhelmed right now.
It's my
There's
CPU.
too much CPU."
Yeah, it's mine.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Well,
So, what is balance? Like when you were thinking of like this idea for us to do this, which I think is fantastic, because I don't know that many of us always have enough balance in our lives.
mhm.
I mean, maybe I'm only speaking for me. Um, but like, what was your idea about that? Like, and how were you defining it, like in your brain when you're thinking about it?
Yeah, so I think that balance is definitely something that's lifelong, right? And it's
Mhm.
something that kind of ebb and flows where it's different depending, like it means different things depending on where we are in life and
Mm.
what the needs of life are asking of us at the time.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so
I wonder if you're also talking about capacity, like when you say balance.
that's a good question. The capacity, like
Like, how much capacity do we have?
for certain things.
Right.
That's a good
It
question.
makes me think of like all the nonsense that they talk about, like spoon theory and like all that kind of stuff of
Hmm.
like how much, or as my husband likes to call it, the F bucket.
Sure.
Right. It's like how much do we have in it? Because I can only use so much of it on any individual thing because then I don't have enough to give in other areas of my life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a little bit of capacity.
Yeah.
Um,
How's a little bit different though? Because I can see that like it's different for you as well.
what balance and
Yeah.
capacity?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that you know sometimes we have the capacity to do lots of things in our life, but maybe what
Mm,
it is that we're wanting to do, um, right, is different than what we have the capacity to do, right?
yeah.
And so that kind of like touches a little bit on that, like um, how important like doing things that you want to do and how important like play is, um,
Mm,
and also that there needs to be room for things that maybe we don't necessarily want to do but we need to do, right?
mm. Yeah, like changing the litter box. Like I don't really want to do that, but it's necessary for the cleanliness of the home.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably for mental well-being.
For sure, for sure. You don't want to walk into the house and be like, "Oh,
Oh,
there's
this
cats
stinks.
here."
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's important to like know that though, that like because I think sometimes we think of balance as this ethereal, I don't know, almost spiritual thing. Like, oh, you have to have more balance. Like, let's get our chakras aligned.
Hmm.
Which, yes, there is some like truth to that, but there's also like reality,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, I get that you would like, I don't know, what would I like to do every single solitary day? Like, I'd love to like be able to go outside and like lay in my hammock like every day
Right.
for a certain period of time. And that would absolutely probably benefit like my well being. But do I have enough? Like, because I still have to give in other areas of my
Hmm.
life. There still has to be room for other things in my life. It's funny. I was talking to a client about that last night, actually, because we were talking about the male loneliness epidemic, which I have a
Oh,
lot of opinions
yes.
about. Some are positive and some are not. But what I was getting at with him was like, what is it that you are making time for? And he's only making time for like an intimate relationship, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, but what happens when this intimate relationship ends? And he's like, wait, what do you mean when it ends? I was like, eventually it'll end in some capacity.
Right.
Like, even if you're together for the next like 50 years, she gonna die. Like,
Mm-hmm.
somebody is going to leave this relationship. And then what do you have after that? Like, how do you
Right.
balance the need for social interaction with your desire in this particular relationship?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, that makes me think of what you're talking about too.
Yeah. Well, another thing too, like in relationships, intimacy kind of goes up and down, right?
Oh,
Throughout a
100%.
relationship. So even if we're not talking about this person passing away 50 years from now,
Right.
even when they're together, they're going to have ups and downs, or he might need social support other places, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so,
Yeah, like if you add children to the mix, if a parent passes away, like there's all of these things that come and go that make the nature of a relationship change too. Yeah, for sure.
mhm.
Because when we're falling in love, it's the only socially like acceptable form of psychosis that we're allowed to have, right? Because you're allowed to be completely and utterly obsessed with the other person. You're like, oh my God, I love them so much. And everything they do is just amazing. Like the way they hold their face, it's just the cutest thing in the world. And they chew their food and they make this little smacking noise and it's so cute. And then like 10 years later, and you're like, oh my God, what if you didn't make that noise?
Yeah, that's one.
I actually hate that. Right? Like those things are normal. And also like you can't keep your hands off of each other. Like a lot of times, like once that part starts in the relationship, like let me tell you, I've been married 20 years in. Yes, I still love my husband, but like I I would not be able to keep up with that amount that I did when I was 25. What are we even talking about? Like,
Mhm.
that is not real.
Yeah,
Also, like, I don't have time for that because like there are children in the home.
sure.
There's work. Like I
Right.
literally come here.
And
Like
you,
and
right?
me. Yeah, there's also me. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Occasionally I like to do something that's just for me.
Yes.
It's just mine.
Yeah.
Mm, that's interesting. I love that. Balance. So what I would imagine then we're also talking about like internal balance as well as external balance, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Because where there's like, hmm, I mean, our emotions flow like the same way balance kind of does, right? We're like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have a lot of joy and a lot of happiness, and or sometimes we might have a lot of anxiousness or sadness, or, um,
Yeah. Those
and I,
normal seasons.
and so there's yeah, there's that, and I think that there is somewhat of a balance that happens internally with how we're feeling and what our nervous system is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's a lot of the work that we do here.
yeah, it is, and then externally, there's different things to balance too, like you've talked about work a little bit and our
Mm.
relationships. um
But there's bills,
right.
there's politics,
Mhm.
there's your physical health,
Absolutely.
there's like financial constraints. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that would have to
We
do
also
with
need
that.
joy,
Yeah.
right? And like time to play and explore and
Yes.
be creative, you know?
Yes.
Um
Because that's protective.
it is.
It's a
Yeah.
resiliency factor.
Right, it is, and we were talking about, like, I'm gonna bring up the relationship again, having balance in that situation with, that client having balance there. It's cushion when there is stress, right? Because when things
Yes.
become unbalanced, and there is an imbalance for one reason or another, when you've spent time in each, like, particular, like, pillar of, like, whatever balance is for somebody,
Hmm.
the things in their life, um, you're able to kind of, like, fall back on things.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because it is protective at that point. So when those other things ebb and flow, we have other things that we can rely on when another part of
Mhm.
what's going on in our lives is hard.
Yeah.
Or I would even say like when we're celebrating, like we want people to celebrate with too, right?
True, yes.
Because like, I mean, if you only have one person to celebrate your birthday, is it a celebration?
Right.
We might need more than that. I just had a birthday, so I guess that's why I'm like thinking of
No,
that.
sure.
Right. And it's like, what did I do? Like, oh, well, I celebrated in this way. And then these are the people who like reached out to me. And these are the different aspects and all of that stuff. But all of that stuff leads to feeling like that joy piece, like
Mhm.
experiencing like joy and things like that. But if it was only one person like doing that, I might feel lonely
Mm-hmm.
if that were happening. I might not. I don't know.
I think it's different for everybody.
It
Because
is.
some people can really, like, when it comes to relationships, uh, they just need like a couple of people who are like really important to them.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who need like a whole group or several different support
Mm-hmm.
systems, you know?
Right.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
But it can never be one person because
No.
then it's a safety string and not a safety net.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I don't want to rock a tightrope.
That's kind of like where codependency like starts coming in.
Oh, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
No, we don't want that.
Mm-mm.
Because then there is no balance. Because you don't have other ways to get needs met. You don't have other ways to. Yeah. Well, and that really impacts like nervous system as well. Like it impacts co-regulation. It impacts like the way that we show up. Because if I don't have enough, it's like having data points. If I don't have enough data points for what's coming in for my own views and like what I think and what I feel, like what could happen is that I have an imbalance in like cognitively, like imbalanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like if I'm only ever talking to like this one person and then I'm only looking at these three TV shows and this doctor, those are the only points of view that I ever get inside of here.
Mm-hmm.
So there may not be a challenge for what's going on inside my brain, right? And we need like that counteract for that to create balance and like cognitively because we need to be cognitively flexible.
We can get stuck, right?
For sure.
Right.
And then you get that siloed effect. You know, they talk about that all the time. Like our society is so siloed and we're all like only paying attention to like our groups and stuff like that. And it's like, yes, like there's a lot of truth in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think understanding like why that happens makes it more likely that we're going to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. That actually makes me think of like what you'd said earlier, which is imbalance isn't always a bad thing.
It isn't. Imbalance is not always a bad thing, but it is uncomfortable. Imbalance is uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, I know,
Yeah.
likey.
Yeah.
No. But I'm trying to think of like some of the things that have happened like in my own personal life, like the things that would happen, like those imbalances led to growth. They led to more growth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can think of one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in school, for example, right? Like there's an imbalance in what you're doing because sometimes you have to spend that time doing assignments and you don't get to go outside and play, right?
Yeah.
But
there is no sunshine.
No, there isn't.
There's no touching grass.
But no,
there's touching keys and writing papers.
Take your laptop outside, sit in the grass.
This is so not the same thing if I'm writing a 10-page paper. Like I gotta tell you, the sun might be there, but I'm just pissed off at it.
But as much as I hated doing that and the imbalance that going to school brought to my life, I now am in a career that I absolutely love, right? Yeah. And it actually let me incorporate more balance in my life because I lived through that imbalance for a while. That really clicked, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It does make me think about like my own college, like stuff, like taking 18 credit hours, like a semester just to graduate early. Like if I were to go back to college now, like I would never do that to myself. Like I would have more balance. But even in the moment, if I look back, like that younger version of me didn't really realize that that was an imbalance.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think that I was aware of it. It was just something that I did. Mm-hmm. But did I have, I mean, was I taking care of like other aspects of my life? No, not really. Like I was getting them A's. That was it.
I'm sure at some point though, you had to take care of those things, you know, because it does kind of catch up
a little, but inadequately. Yeah. There was definitely like a pinch point that happened where like I had to make a decision,
mm-hmm.
right? And that pinch point wouldn't have happened. But then that's also what led me here, like to the state of South Carolina, to graduate school, and then to being a therapist, right? Had that pinch point not happened because of that imbalance, where things are right now wouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's overall a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's overall positive. It also makes me think of kids. Like imbalance, because if we think about kiddos and how much they change like over time, like the difference between like a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, oh my god, so much difference. The difference between a 5-year-old and like a 9-year-old, those are different human beings. The difference between a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old,
Mhm.
that is different. And then so on and so forth, like all through like ages and stuff, right? And but at all of those times, like we even have words for it, right? Like the terrible twos or the trying
Oh, sure.
threes, or how everybody feels like, oh, adolescence is so bad and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yes, some of those things are in fact true. Like I don't want to diminish that. But that is being caused not only because of internal imbalances that are happening, because
Mm.
like pruning in the brain and stuff, but it's imbalances in what I think is important and all of that growth. And that is such a hard time for parents and children, right? It's so challenging. Because how do I let my kid be uncomfortable enough to grow, but not so uncomfortable that they can't make progress?
How do I make sure that they're regulated when there's challenge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's so
When do
hard.
I step in and when don't I step in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes like a kid needs to flail a little and be like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be here when you're done doing that.
Yeah, and when is it too soon to step in as a parent,
Yeah,
right? Because that certainly can happen, um, for sure, and that's a hard place to be,
it is hard.
you know?
It's funny, like my kiddo was just talking about this like over the weekend, and she was talking about talking about like, mom, some parents like do everything for their kid. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. I was like, I bet there's times when you would like me to do more for you. And Kennedy was like, I don't think so. And I was like, well, that was not always true, kid. Distinctly remember a very specific temper tantrum that we had about me tying your shoes when you were capable of doing it. And it was quite public
Yeah.
for all to see. And at that point, you did not think that it was reasonable for me to expect you to do things on your own.
Mhm.
And Kennedy was like, well, yeah, I was like 5, so I didn't understand. I'm 16 now. You know,
Right.
insert I know everything, right? Love you,
We've been
Kennedy.
there. I've been there, Kennedy, it's okay. Sometimes I still am there.
Oh, for sure. But I will say, as a parent, that's still hard, especially if we watch our kid like struggling and then feeling sad, or
Mhm.
just those normal growing pains. Like, how
Yeah.
do I help them balance schoolwork and friends and family and their own internal need? Like, how do I even do that?
Mhm.
Right. But then also, how do I let them figure some of that out on their own?
Mhm.
Because that's another piece of it.
Right. What do I take responsibility for and what do I not?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
That's also hard because anyone you ask has a different opinion.
Oh, 100%.
You
Like,
know?
and there is no hard and fast rule for that.
No, there is not.
There's not.
Mm-mm. I think really the reason why is because every kid is different,
Hmm.
you know?
Every nervous system is different.
Yeah, all like every family dynamic is different.
Hmm.
There are different people and different relationships and levels of attunement and
Hmm. Well, there's different needs for balance.
Mhm.
Like, how much time do you need to recover after being really social?
Right. Yeah.
Which is different for everybody.
Mhm.
Like, where I may only need like a couple of hours or like maybe 30 minutes, my child may need half the day,
Yeah.
right? And how do I allow that to be okay?
Mm.
Or even like when we're thinking about when we're working in a business, or if we are the boss,
Sure.
right? Like, how do you help do that with the people that are working like maybe for you, but also making sure that you provide enough care
Mhm.
to sustain like a workforce, right? But then how do you also attune and attend to the individual needs that are coming in?
I usually tell parents when these kinds of questions come up,
Mm.
like we have a conversation about what values, like what are our values?
Mm.
Because
Hmm.
I find that sometimes there really isn't an answer, but if we go, sometimes there really isn't an answer, right? Or there are hundreds of them, but we can look back to what the value, like what are our basic values
Yeah.
as a family or even as a person.
Hmm.
And when I'm making this decision, looking at it and going, am I meeting those values or not?
Mm.
You know?
Hmm.
Because I think some of those answers only you can answer, and you can kind of use your values as like stability,
Oh yeah,
to lean
absolutely.
on.
I also always ask the question of for development, essentially, like the idea of like future thought. Like, is this going to matter in 5 years?
Mm.
I love asking that question. It's like if your kid is wearing like mismatched clothes and their pony is like up here, and you have a lost boy like I had with twigs in their hair and they're always half dirty and very feral looking for a while. Like, is that going to matter in 5 years? Like, is your kid still going to look feral at 16? The answer is no. My kid does not look feral anymore. However, there was a very long part
Yeah.
of life where I was like, people might think I don't like make this kid bathe. Like I don't, but also I don't want to fight about it because it disrupts the harmony in my home.
Yeah.
And does it really matter? Like probably not.
Hmm.
That was where I found balance
Yeah.
in that, like the balance of like when to intervene and when not to is it's like that core question of is this something that could potentially matter in 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
most of the time, the things that I would be like irritated about were no, it wasn't.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, eventually you're going to brush your hair.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Eventually
Or
it's gonna
there's a
happen.
natural consequence if you don't.
Oh, for sure. And then
Right.
you're gonna buzz cut that head and
Yeah.
we're gonna start over.
Right. And then your job, like as a parent, is just to go, well, just so you know, the consequence might be this if you make that choice. And
Right.
that's okay. Just
They might be like, let's buzz it now because maybe
awesome.
that's what we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I think it's also okay too. Like you don't when you're trying to decide, you know, how do I intervene? Why do I intervene? In what way?
Mm,
It just like you don't have to make that decision on like by yourself either. Like even the person that you're
yes.
trying to um like decide how you're going to interact with, like just asking the question of this is the message that I want to get across. What do you need in order to get that message? Like how can I
Mm,
support this um, for you? What does that look like?
yeah.
Even those conversations with kids you can have, like
Oh,
just
I've
asking them, what is it that you need right now?
I mean, I've
What-
absolutely asked my kid that.
yeah.
Like when we were in middle school, it was a really hard like time for the two of us. And I remember saying, and I actually got this from a client, like, you know who you are if you're watching. But she would do this thing where she would say, like to her child, like, if I'm not loving you in the way that like you need to be loved, it's your job
Mm-hmm.
to inform me how to do that better.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, that's brilliant. I'm taking that. Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much. Because humans learn from each other.
Yeah.
And I said that to my kid one day, and while I will say it was not helpful in the moment because my child was feeling very sassy that day and said, well, you could stop talking to me. And I was like, cool, this is going great. Um, it was helpful like later, right? It wasn't helpful in that moment. I was like, oh no, this is just still kind of terrible. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Love that for us.
Yeah.
I had to be patient and wait for it to get better.
Some things don't move as fast as we want them to.
No, they really don't.
It causes imbalance and uncomfortableness.
For
But
sure.
I think this belief too of like we have to have all the answers all the time,
Oh, now we're getting to perfection, aren't we?
right? Which
Mm.
is often like that. Sometimes balance is perceived as that
Yeah.
of like needing to be perfect and I need to know all the things all the time and
Like every time somebody asks me a question, I should know the answer to it. And it's like,
yeah.
oh. I know as therapists, we hang out in that space, right?
Yes, we
Where
do.
and people ask us like, y'all ask us the hardest questions in the world sometimes, and we're like, oh, I have no idea what are you talking about. Like, I don't have this together in my own life. Why are we talking about this, right? And when with the real answer is, and hopefully, like what we do as clinicians is say, I don't know,
Mm,
because when you don't know, say you don't know,
yeah,
because that's okay.
it is.
It is okay to not know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could you guys go into detail about what's happening internally when there is a negative imbalance in your life?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Okay, so let's start polyvagal, right? And that's at least where I would start. Um, so if we are in balance, this is not quick and I'll give multiple examples. Being in balance means that you're in the ventral vagal part of your nervous system. So what that means is, why is there not a ladder near me right now? I need a ladder or like a diamond or a pendulum of something. It doesn't matter. We can visualize it, right? We are visual people. We can figure this out. So on a ladder, the very, very top rung of the ladder is going to be ventral vagal. What that means is I can engage and I can connect. So things are balanced. Okay. Things feel like generally okay, even if they're hard. Like I'm connected with other people so I can get help, like all of those kinds of things. Imbalance happens if I detect threat. If I detect threat, my first course of action is to go down one rung of the ladder, and that's sympathetic nervous system. That's what everybody knows is fight or flight, right? That's fight, flight. So that is, I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to activate. I'm going to have activation to figure this, whatever this problem is, out. I'm either going to fight my way out or fight my way out, like with words, or I am going to flee. I'm going to run away or I'm going to avoid it because that's a valid coping skill. You are allowed to avoid occasionally. Okay, so that's the first rung. If those things do not work, or you have historically learned that they do not work, you may drop down to the last part of that ladder, which is dorsal vagal. That is freeze. That is where we freeze. It is where we fawn. It's where we just want it to stop. And if we are verbally just saying, like, yes, I agree. It's when you're lecturing your kid and you all of a sudden get the glazed look and they just look at you and say, yes, ma'am. No, I understand. Yes, ma'am. No, you're right. That was wrong. Okay. They're not listening to you, by the way. They've gone dorsal.
Yeah.
We are completely shut off. We have dissociated. We are no longer here. We are no longer in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that just because like those imbalances happen, like sympathetic and dorsal, those are for safety. Because if you remember, the first thing I said is that you detect a threat. So that means that imbalance has to happen. Like there has to be a cue that tells you, ooh, something's not right. So I need to protect this and maybe this if we're caring for other people, right? So I have to protect. There are also blended stages. Okay. So right now, you and I are in 2 stages, right? We're dorsal because like we both have to stay in this chair, even though what we might want to do is be like up and up and have some energy and like do the things. So we have to be partially dorsal and we have to be partially ventral because you and I have to be connected, but we also want to learn from each other, right? So it's partially dorsal. If, however, we went and decided to go play tennis, right? I don't know. Do you play tennis?
I can do anything.
Great.
I can play tennis.
There we are, everybody. She does everything.
I said I can't.
Didn't say I would. That's funny. Okay, so we'll say that like maybe you have some basic skills at tennis, okay, and you're playing tennis. That would also be a blended stage because we're activated. You have to be able to have enough of that activation to run on a tennis court. So flee, right, or fight for that point kind of thing. And you also have to be engaged like with the other person. So you're tracking what they're doing and you're paying attention. And hopefully it's a friendly game and not like an icky, like super competitive game where you're not nice to each other. I don't love that. But that would be a blended state as well. But that would be like, again, like that's imbalance. When it's not balance, when it's an imbalance, not imbalance. I realize those are going to sound very similar on this.
Yes.
It's fine. When things are not in balance is when I stay in sympathetic for like a long period of time and it isn't necessary. Or I stay in dorsal when it doesn't make sense and I can't function in activities of daily living. Like I can't do the things. I always use it to talk about like a Ring camera. Remember when they first came out? They were way overactive. It was like having a sympathetic nervous system response all of the time because every fly, every cat, and every feather and car that drove by your house was immediately going to say, there's movement at the front door. And you're like, dude, I don't care that cat is there. Like, what are we talking about? Great, that sparrow is pecking at your face.
That leaf that just fell?
Yeah, girl, what is this about? Like, is there a ghost in the system? I don't understand, like, what's happening. There's a ghost in the machine. And now we've trained them better, right? So now they alert us when you get a package, because that's reasonable.
Yes.
Not when there's a feather, not when the wind is blowing a little too much, and not when like the car is driving on a literal public
Mm.
road, like feet from your
Yeah.
front door.
I think that what I really took from what you just said is that sometimes it is actually helpful to be in an activated or dorsal state, and it's not like incorrect or bad in any way.
No.
And it's a normal part of existing and actually quite healthy to move in, like up and down the ladder.
Yes.
It is concerning when it becomes dysfunctional.
Right.
Right. And it starts affecting how our lives look in a way that isn't positive.
Yeah, because if I'm so activated all of the time that I view everyone as a threat,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fighting with people all the time, or I'm scared all of the time, or every time there's a loud noise, I immediately think that it's harmful and I jump like every single time, like that is disruptive. Like that, for one thing, like good Lord, like going back to that Ring camera like analogy, think about how much that battery would deplete over time because it was overactive,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's always
Yeah.
on, your battery is like, it's like in the toilet, right?
Yeah.
My battery is in the toilet if I'm always activated, right? Like we have to rest.
And then when you need it to work, it doesn't.
Right. Because
right?
then it's like, oh,
Right.
do we need to worry about this? I don't know.
No. It's like the boy who cries wolf, almost.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, I hate that. Ooh. Yes, it is. When it makes like our detection system faulty, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many parables actually about that, right? Where a detection system is faulty because it makes me think of the scorpion and the frog,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, oh, we're a little over trusting.
I don't know if I know the story of the scorpion and the frog. I
Oh,
think you're
girl,
about to tell me.
yeah, I'm going to tell you the scorpion and the frog. Get excited. The scorpion and the frog. So there's a scorpion and there's a frog, and they come to a river.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to cross said river. The frog obviously has zero problems like crossing said river. The scorpion, however, is a little concerned because it does not swim. He does not swim. And he is trying to convince these frogs as they are coming up to take him across the river. And there's a couple frogs that are like, no, I know you. I know what you do. I got your MO, and I'm not helping you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have seen what you have done to other frogs, right?
Yeah.
I got your number. I have receipts. I know what you've done, right? Because scorpions do what? They sting things and then they eat them because they need survival. So sure,
Mm-hmm.
fair. And he keeps coming and keeps saying it, and keeps saying it. And then there's another frog like that comes along and says, hey, like I know like what my reputation is. Like I know that like I've been labeled as like scary and deceitful, and I'll do whatever I can to get really close to you so that my pincer can get, right? Like my tail can then sting you. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I really just need to like cross the river.
Mm-hmm.
I need to cross the river. Okay. And he's like, oh, I don't know. That doesn't feel great because his neuroception was kicking in. Right. His neuroception was like, I detect something, but I'm going to ignore it. The scorpion jumps on the frog's back. They're right to the next bank. The scorpion stabs the frog, and they both drown. Like you have to be able to recognize the scorpions in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like which one of these people has demonstrated that they are who they are?
Yes.
And they're going to sting me. So if you have an imbalanced like nervous system, right? Or you ignore, like the frog did, his own body. He was ignoring all of those signals. He got stung.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens, right? And it was because like the scorpion was really good at manipulating too, right? Like both of those things had to happen in order for that to be like the outcome. It couldn't just be that like my nervous system wasn't doing a good enough job and I was able to override it by ignoring it. It was also that the scorpion's nervous system was really good at masking and telling you what I bet you wanted to hear and convincing you and shutting some of my own stuff down, right? My own ill intention to be like, no, I'm totally trustworthy. And then I got stung.
Yeah.
But a balanced nervous system, all those other frogs before that had a balanced nervous system. And they were able to detect what the truth was. for whatever
What the truth was.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're wrong. We weren't wrong in that scenario.
Yeah. When I hear like because they knew what the truth was,
Mhm.
I don't hear the truth was that the scorpion was going to harm them.
Yeah.
I hear that the truth was that they felt uneasy. The truth was how they felt.
Right. They were listening to their own body.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Because sometimes it also doesn't matter if you're wrong.
Mm-mm.
Like there are times in your life, like when you're going to feel like, ooh, this does not feel quite right. And maybe you're learning, right?
Mhm.
Maybe you're brand new to therapy, for instance, and you are just now starting to like trust your own intuition and all those other kind of things. You're going to do it wrong a couple times. Like you are. And you're going to be inaccurate. And but the good thing is that if we live balanced lives, we also have the capacity to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, and I was wrong about that."
Right.
We can take like accountability and responsibility for that.
But sometimes the imbalance that comes to us isn't because of us, and there's nothing that we can really do about it, right?
Right.
And so there's compassion that needs to happen there.
Yes. That's also a balanced perspective too. Like when do you give yourself grace?
Right, exactly. You know,
Yeah.
I always lean on the side of like if people are feeling unsafe for whatever reason, we don't have to know what the reason is. Just acknowledge like it's okay that you feel that way.
Yep.
And there's probably a really good reason why that feeling is coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a book called The Gift of Fear.
Yeah.
And while there's it's an older book, so some of the things in it are a little outdated, but for the most part, it's an excellent way of talking about that intuition and what we now know is like neuroception.
Sure.
Right. It's an interesting like take on it because it talks about people who were harmed. And when they look back, they were able to see that their nervous system was telling them something, but they ignored it or they overrode it for a variety of different reasons. And it goes into those reasons like why that happens, which I think is like super fascinating, like how that happens. I mean, especially if you're a trauma survivor, you're told all of the time that your nervous system is wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So then you have to like ignore it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make sense when somebody else is like, well, what do you want to do? And you're like, what? Never had that question before. What are you talking about? I'm allowed to have needs and wants.
Yeah.
That's a shocking thing. Does that answer your question, Sophia?
I think so. I think I do have another question where I feel like we talked about a lot of scenarios. What are some of the like practices / coping mechanisms that you offer up to people who are experiencing this imbalance and are stuck?
Well, we're both trained in EMDR. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
and a variety of other kinds of therapies. So therapy is one of them for sure.
Yeah, I usually start at working on the awareness of self.
Tell me more.
And being able to like identify what is even going on internally, because we can really use like the anxiety or that fear or joy or whatever the emotion is to guide us towards whatever it is that our bodies need for balance.
Yeah.
Right. And so being able to even like read what is going on or noticing it with it, like while being in your window of tolerance. Right.
Yeah. How do you get somebody to notice that? Like when, like I said, especially like most of the clients that like we work with, either because of like neurodiversity, so there's processing that's there that might not be completely accurate, or because of trauma, so that it's been trained out of you to know those things. How do you help a client like physically start to pay attention? Like what's one of your go-to things that you do?
This is such an answer, but it does quite depend on the client because they all have different needs.
Sure.
Some clients need it modeled in some way, whether it's like saying out loud what's happening like to me in the moment and like making it aware of like this is why I'm asking this or responding in this way, right? And so like we're like showing what's happening to me like neurologically. Sometimes that helps. Reflecting a lot with clients too, like when they're talking, when you do reflective statements, or like you're reflecting and letting them know that you hear them, you like putting in language for them or reframing it in a way to help them build the language, or even notice that that's like what they're even experiencing. Like for example, like I had a client that was talking quite a bit about grief, but not realizing that that's what
but
it
not
was.
saying that word.
Yeah. And so kind of like guiding the conversation to notice it a little bit.
I do that a lot too. And I help differentiate, because I had a client that was talking about, like, I don't know, like, what if it's like sorrow and it's not grief? And yeah, I guess it is grief because there's a lot of sorrow there. And I was like, ooh, hang on. Sorrow and grief are different. Let's talk about how those two things are different. And then talking about that, and then seeing like which one's actually more accurate to your experience right now. Like, that's a good way of becoming aware.
Some of my kiddos really love using stories or narratives or books or movies or whatever. And they kind of learn through the like their interests of like whatever whatever the character is. And sometimes we'll talk about that, like taking like perspective taking, because sometimes that's where they are developmentally, and like understanding where they are, and what's going on for them is trying to understand what's going on for other people.
I also help people like become aware of how they're holding their bodies. There's something called DBR, which is deep brain reorienting, which I'm also trained in, and it's for pre-verbal trauma, the quick and dirty version of it. Pre-verbal trauma like gets stuck in your body essentially. So I help them detect when they are bracing, or when they're protecting or turning away, because all of those things have little micro movements that are associated with it that get stuck then in your body. So that's how I bring awareness to that, which is slowing that process down a lot. I always ask the question, well, what happened right before that? What was your body doing right before you said that? Right? Like, oh, I noticed I had a hitch in my breath. Oh, okay. I had a pull on my jaw back here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Does that happen often when whatever it is like occurring? Because that does bring that awareness back online.
I know you guys did a podcast recently about yoga. Yoga is a really good way too to start building some of that awareness of what's happening to self. Sometimes to even be able to notice what's happening emotionally, we have to know what's happening in our muscles. And knowing how to actually like touch with, like be in touch with the body. Because sometimes it's more than just like what emotions are happening, right? Like you're talking about in sessions how clients will talk about certain things that are happening, right? Sometimes it's not emotions. Sometimes it's like actual actions or things that are happening physically.
And one of the things that I think that I love about what DBR really posits is that all of our experiences are visceral first. Which I love, right? So meaning they all happen in the body first. Like all of this information comes in through the body, through my 5 senses, which means that it's a sensation before it ever develops into a feeling or a thought or a behavior, right? Because CBT tells us that we have a thought, like a feeling, and then a behavior, right? That's not really completely accurate. What's actually accurate is I have a sensation, and then I have a feeling, and then I have a thought about that feeling, and then I go back to feeling again, and then I might behave. Right? It's like far more complicated than like that ABC model of like cognitive behavioral therapy, which I think is really interesting as well, as us being able to get in touch with that. But yoga does do an excellent job helping you understand like how you hold your posture, how you hold your body, and what you think about that, right? Because God bless it, like favorite yoga teacher, person who like actually helped me with some like cognitive stuff like that I had on myself, because I would always like furrow my brow when she'd tell us to do like really weird things like flying poses. And then I remember her saying in a yoga class one day, you know, Melanie, confusion can be a state of being or a state of mind. And I thought an expletive in my head first, to be clear. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. Fix your face, and then you might actually be able to fly in this pose, right? It's like you can't do anything if your face looks like that, or you can't like anything if your face looks like that. No, you're right. You're right. I can't, and I'm not really confused. I don't like what you're asking me to do. Yeah, and then is that awareness piece coming back online?
Yeah, there are different paths that you can take to start noticing. Sometimes it's not even about emotions. It's like noticing the cycles that are happening.
Yeah, the patterns.
The patterns.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not, maybe to like reframe what I said, maybe it's not necessarily about what's happening internally, but maybe it's just like the notice piece. There's a noticing that happens.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to notice.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to notice. And that can give you so much information about whether or not you feel imbalanced in all these aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have enough social connection? Do you have enough of your basic needs being met?
Yeah.
You're right. It's not about perfection.
I'm noticing that I'm spending a lot of time watching TikToks on my couch. How is this serving me right now? What am I getting out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And where am I not getting that? Are there things that I could do? Like what's going on?
Yeah. What is going on? Oh, that's a good thing. I think the takeaways from this one should be like, don't let good get in the way of perfection, or don't let perfection get in the way of good.
True.
Right? It's not always going to be perfectly balanced. Stages of life ebb and flow. Like your tolerance for things is going to be different at different stages of your life and different things that are going on. But balance can always be like a guidepost.
Yes. And there really isn't much that is either right or wrong.
Yes. Oh, it's never a binary.
It's
almost never a binary.
It's almost never a binary. Almost never.
Yeah. I actually love to like challenge clients when they're like, well, it's always like this. I said, well, except when it's not.
Yeah. But I think it's easy to get stuck in that.
Yes, and we all do it like at some point. We're going to do that, right? That false binary. Yeah. I like to tell people that when we're talking about balance, like my form of balance is not 50-50. Okay. So to be fair, like it is not. My balance in everything that I do is 80-20. I want to do it 80% really good, and 20% I'm going to completely mess it up, right? Because if it's good enough for ground beef, it's good enough for me.
Yes.
Makes a delicious cheeseburger. So I hang out in the 80-20 place. But I have a friend that hangs out 90-10, right? Her balance is like making sure that 90% of the time she shows up is really, really awesome in all of these aspects of her life, and 10% she messes it up. And I'm like, that's cool for you, girl, but like I need that extra 10%.
Yeah.
I need that 10%.
What works for one person does not work for another.
That is right. Remember, C's get degrees. Like,
they do.
You could be 70-30 and it's okay.
That's true. Yes.
Well, that's why we need other people to pick up the other pieces, right? Like if I actually decrease to a place where I'm only at 50-50, somebody else, I need other people in my life to pick up that other 50% for me. Yeah. And have the capacity to do it.
Well, I think too, you're touching a little bit on boundaries, like for yourself, where you're like, this person's boundaries with themselves is 90-10.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Your boundary for you is 80-20, and it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 80-20. Cool.
Oh,
balance.
Sure. Was there anything else that you would like to add, or any more questions?
I don't think so. I think that was great.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that's good. Sure. Hi, Mom.
I feel a lot of jealousy that your mom like watches all of these, and my mother, I do not think she does. Selena, I'm calling you out right now.
Hi, Mom. I love you. I hope that you are having a wonderful day, and thank you for watching this video with us. Yeah. Love you so much.
And we love all of you for watching it too. Yeah. Like we appreciate it. We hope you had fun. We hope you learned a little something, and maybe we're a little self-reflective.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have a good rest of your day whenever you watch this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See you later.
Go do some balance poses with Juliet. New little tree pose. Little crow up in here.